on a side topic. Can we do a side topic yet?
Yes, we can.
All right. I got one of the comments on Twitter, because I got deluged also, was Meltzer's, Uncle Dave's comment. Somebody had said, well, Walter would got over in the territories or in the days gone by or whatever, in any era, however it was phrased. And he had to say, well, but no, the big stars of days gone by wouldn't work with him like that. He'd have to change his style. They wouldn't take it or whatever. Oh, God damn it. For one thing, this shows how, unfortunately, little Uncle Dave has picked up about the actual execution performance of the in-ring product rather than just watching the in-ring product. For one thing, a lot of the big stars of 2020 wouldn't take that style either, and he'd have to change it. And he'd be right too, and so would they, because it's not their fucking thing. Even serious wrestlers, not everybody can work this fucking style. So, but Walter wouldn't have to change his basic presentation. They would just not have the gentleman's agreement they were going to work that stiff, but he's still going to hit the chops, which is nothing new. And I hearken back to Wahoo McDaniel and Johnny Valentine, which, if Ilya was a little bigger and a little older and crustier, would have been the prehistoric wrestling equivalent of what they just did here. Everybody in Greensboro, everybody in the Carolinas, everybody in Texas, everybody where they worked would say, oh my God, after 40 years, I can still hear those chops landing in the back row of the bleachers. Because Wahoo and Valentine were doing the same thing. Only they didn't update it. This was even more fucking, what would you say? It wasn't more violent than Wahoo and Valentine, but there was more action because the whole pace of everything was slower back then, but the gist of it was the same. This is the evolution of that. They're hitting each other hard and fucking throwing some live rounds, but in hopefully safe places most of the time. Nobody's going to be fucking in the hospital for fucking surgery. Maybe, a little fucking IV of goddamn fluids after a performance like that. Or 15 years later, Ric Flair and Ronnie Garvin. Flair and Garvin, I watched them every night have the chop fest. They weren't standing there going, chop me, no chop me. They were going out and having those stiff matches that Ronnie Garvin liked to have, where they were working stiff and had an agreement that this shit was going to get laid in safe places, and Ric Flair wasn't going to let anybody out chop him. And Flair did the backhand knife edge, and Garvin did the right hand overhand. And they worked every night for weeks. They were chopping both guys, mostly Flair, to be honest. Mostly Flair's chest was bleeding because I think the overhand is easier to do that than the fucking knife edge. But Flair'd come back with his chest bleeding. Ronnie Garvin come back with his chest fucking purple and black and blue. And it got to the point where Flair was putting antibiotic cream on his fucking chest because Ronnie had chopped so many layers of skin off of the top of his chest that he was scabbing, and the doctor said it might get infected. But did he say lighten up? No, because he was having fun. It was a goddamn deal. And those people could hear those fucking blows land in the back of the bleachers. And they were making some people respect the wrestling business because they were seeing it in front of them.
Based on everything I know, Johnny Valentine would have loved to work with Walter.
Oh, yeah, my God. And he would have been the one saying, hit me harder,
yeah,
keep
that's
coming.
right.
That was his fucking deal. And he coined the phrase that the funkster, good old Terry, stole. I can't make them believe wrestling is real, but I can make them believe I'm real. So the point is, I'm sorry, Uncle Dave, but a lot of guys, a lot of big stars in the business would work with Walter today without altering his style much, maybe lightening up on some of the chops, but everything was safe. They would rather work with this guy, especially if he was being pushed and was in a top spot where they could draw money instead of some of the reckless goofballs that they might be having to work with these days, where you never know what's coming and you never know how you're going to get dropped and you never know who's going to land on you. And we're seeing it. It's not like I'm making this up. We see it every week. How many times was there 2 or 3 people knocked out on live television on AEW that time a week or 2 ago? When the one guy, they just drug him to the corner and worked around him.
Yeah, there were 2 guys messed up on that show, and then apparently they taped AEW the next night, and there was a women's match that didn't make air because one of the women in the match got seriously injured, and they couldn't air it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm in no way disrespecting not only the effort, the work, and the way that it felt. That was a fucking war. But those guys were pros. They knew what they were doing. They agreed to it beforehand. Everything was safe and responsible. And, once again, besides a pandemic, if Walter is not one of the major stars on their main roster in this country, then it's only because he doesn't want to move to this fucked up country. Apparently, I would think, because I'd break the fucking bank to fucking get this guy over here. They don't need Brock with this guy. And Walter's brand new. They've seen Brock for 20 years. This guy's even bigger of a fucking prick. Just look at that face and his attitude and the whole 9 yards. I was so happy that somebody has actually gotten this and what this is supposed to be, because even the most noted of wrestling observers apparently don't understand what they were doing, and that there's more people than that would be happy to work with Walter as long as they were pushing him where they could make some money with him. That's the worst thing, is this is on a goddamn show. I couldn't even hardly find it on the network. You had to tell me how to look it up. And this blew anything away that we have seen on American television in months and months and months and years and years.
To your earlier point, other than some stuff I've seen in recent years with headbutts, which I'm not a big fan of.
No.
I think clearly there have been way more injuries from the high-flying matches than a stiff match. I mean, you never heard about Stan Hansen putting people out. But someone catches a dive wrong.
Knocking them out, maybe, yes, but putting them out, no.
I mean, there are guys how many people just are out of action for long periods of time because of something stupid? It's not the stiff matches, it's the high-flying matches and unnecessary things that are putting people out.
Yeah, this was the art of what worked combat is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be ballet. And you're going to feel it. You're going to need a good soak, but nobody's going to need surgery. And it wasn't insulting to anyone to watch that. It wasn't stupid or silly or funny or phony. It was exciting. It was 2 guys having a fucking war, hand-to-hand combat, but at the same time, there was no... For all the people who say, well, they just loved boring chin locks for 30 minutes. I never saw 30-minute chin locks to begin. I've been watching wrestling for 50 years, but they didn't have any boring chin locks in this one either. But there was nothing, no dance routines, teleportation, costume changes, etc., kept your attention. And it was 30 minutes.
And it went by quick.
Every time I watch Twinkle Toes McFinger Bang, I think, my God, when will this ever be over? Because it's the same shit over and over that you can't buy to begin with. This was constant motion with the same type of stuff, but in different ways that you could believe every single bit of. And it was a quarter of the time of a McFinger Bang production classic.
Well, Jim, while the match may have been safe for the participants, I'm sure after the match they were sore. And you said they could soak, they could do lots of different things, but I think I have an idea of something they could use for their soreness, for their aches and pains that would be a tremendous help. And that is our fine friends over at Omax.
That's exactly right. As Dusty Rhodes once said, I can tell you about pain. Well, Walter and Ilya, they can tell us about pain, and we can tell them how to relieve that pain. And folks, that's to take the Omax Cryo Freeze. Whether it's the pain relief roll-on, which I think they should just actually soak in a tub, but also if they take the CryoFreeze Advanced Joint Defense 1-a-day supplement, that'll relieve joint discomfort and soreness. Maybe they've been taking that all along. That's how they were able to do physically to each other what they did, because they're hopped up on the Advanced Joint Defense. Folks, a breakthrough formula that can reduce aches and pains from sore muscles, joint overuse, aging. I don't know how old Walter is, but I know I'm getting older. If you want to stay active, it's a must for muscle recovery. There you go, folks. You'll improve flexibility. This is great for Walter and Ilya. Long-term joint health, they're going to need some of that too. No THC. That may or may not be a plus for people. But Omax, folks, is offering our listeners a limited time offer, 20% off their introductory pricing on the Omax CryoFreeze supplements. The supplements including the Advanced Joint Defense. And this discount also applies toward any product site-wide through the end of November. Just go to omaxhealth.com. That's OMAX health.com and enter the code DRIVE to take advantage of the savings. We've been raving about this stuff for ages. Everything they make is good. The sport cream, the pain relief roll-on, the Advanced Joint Defense. You can get 20% off anything on the site at omaxhealth.com when you enter the code DRIVE. Brian, I'll tell you, I don't know if maybe Walter could become the official spokesperson for Omax, because every time you get in the ring with him, you're going to need some. You're going to need it rolled from the tippy top of your head to the tippy tip of your toes.
We could see if we could set up some sort of sponsorship.
While he's just wallowing in obscurity over there on a fucking subsidiary of a developmental program when he should be the biggest star in professional wrestling. And I double dog dare somebody to find me a video of Walter working with a blow-up sex dollar, the Invisible Man. I've said I can't compliment anybody, but I feel safe with Walter. I feel safe in his big catcher's mitt paws.
See, now I worry. Now that you said that and put the challenge out there, someone's going to show up with something.
I bet you he hadn't done that. I can look at the jut of his mighty chin and see that he wouldn't do something like that. He's a man's man.